Going to get started now. So thank you so much for joining us. It's my absolute pleasure to take you through our training session today, which will be focusing on how to protect your personal information online. And we know this is really critical because it helps us safeguard our identity, financial security, and any potential harms. It is particularly important for older Australians, as research shows that scammers often target older individuals as they believe they may have more savings or perceive older adults to be less tech savvy, making them easier to manipulate. So this is why we have such fantastic sessions at Be Connected to support you to stay connected and safe online. So I'm going to turn my camera off so you can see it in full screen, and we'll get into our session. So we know being online can be great. And before we move into our content, I want to share the Be Connected website with you. We have lots of information about a wide range of topics. And the good news is that everything we provide, like today's training and resources, are all free to access. There are hundreds of hours of self-paced online training. It covers a wide range of interesting topics, such as managing passwords, how to identify a scam. Maybe you're interested in accessing online services in a safe manner. Or after today's session, you might want to look further into how to protect your personal information online. So you'll find some online courses to work through the Be Connected website that will complement today's training. So in today's session, we're going to work through 4 key areas. So firstly, we'll look at why information privacy matters. Secondly, we'll explore what you share and what to be aware of. Thirdly, we'll look at how you can keep your information secure. And finally, before we wrap up, we'll talk about scams and data breaches. So let's get started with a poll. I want to know, how often do you think about online privacy? So just give me a moment. I will launch our poll. That should come up on your screen now. So to participate, all you have to do is click on the answer that feels right for you. If you are in a library or in a group, maybe have a chat amongst yourselves and choose what you think is most common, and then cast your vote. So either A, quite often, B, now and then, C, never. So select which one feels right for you. Just give you a few moments to finish. Can see a lot of you have voted. If you've never used the polls before, just grab your mouse, come on over and click which answer you think is right for you. So how often do you think about online privacy? So A, quite often, B, now and then, or C, never. I'll just give you another 15 seconds and then we will move on. Fantastic. So I'm going to share our results now so you can all see. Doesn't surprise me that a lot of you, 97% of you, think about online privacy quite often, because you have all chosen to come to this session. The fact that a lot of you think about it now and then, I'm also not surprised that none of you think about it never, because you wouldn't come to this session if you never thought about it. So let's move into the content. Thank you for participating in our poll. We've got a few more polls coming up. So before we move into our first section, let's look at some of the results from the Australian Community Attitude Survey to Privacy. This survey found that 62% of Australians see that protecting this personal information is a major concern in their life. 82% of people care about protecting personal information, but only half of these people actually know how to do it. And 74% of Australians feel that data breaches is one of the biggest privacy risks they currently face. So let's have a look now at why information privacy matters and why it is so important. So to do so, we need to look at what is personal information. So personal information or data is something that can be linked back to a specific person. This information can be used to identify you, to locate where you are or where you live, and other unique specific details about you as well. So there's a wide range of different types of personal information. And so these include your full name, which is why we have hidden your names from other participants during this session, is we want to make sure your privacy is protected. Your home address, your phone number, date of birth, also your driver's license and passport number, your financial details, including bank account details, tax file number, and credit card numbers, as well as your usernames and passwords to devices and accounts. So we know that personal information also includes our credentials, which is sometimes referred to as evidence of identification documents. So these are all the things that we use to prove our ID. So these include things like your driver's license and your passport, birth certificate or immigration card or immigration certificate, an Australian visa or citizenship certificate, and your Medicare card. This can also include bills that have your full name and address on it, as they can form part of your identification. So your identity information and credentials make up your legal identity. So nearly every app, social media platform, or website asks you for at least some personally identifiable information. Unfortunately, this data can be stolen or misused, and we'll have a look at how that can happen as we move through. So your personal information is extremely valuable. So if someone gets access to your personal information without your consent, they could choose to use this information to pretend to be you, to obtain a benefit for themselves. For example, they could access your online accounts and make transfers or payments, and this can be called identity fraud. Even if a thief can only access a small amount of your personal information, they may still be able to steal your identity if they can find out more about you from public sources, such as social media accounts, which may include your date of birth, personal photos, private information about you and your family. So scammers generally target the following types of personally identifiable information, as they all confirm your identity. So this identifiable information includes name and family details, dates of birth, contact information, financial records, online profiles, And of course, your identity documents that we went through before: driver's license, passports, and certificates. So over the next few slides, we will look at how scammers might use this identifiable information. So it's really important that you keep all of this information safe. So scammers can piece together your information by using data obtained via phishing scams. So phishing scams often involve sending emails or messages that appear to be from a trusted source, like a bank or an online retailer. And these messages may contain urgent requests to update information, verify accounts, or claim a prize. Public Wi-Fi snooping. So this is known as Wi-Fi eavesdropping. And it involves intercepting and monitoring network traffic on public Wi-Fi networks to obtain an individual's personal information, such as bank account logins, login details, and passwords. There's social media surveillance. So this refers to the practice of monitoring and tracking individuals' online activities and personal information on social media platforms. It can involve collecting data on profiles, posts, and interactions. Deceptive websites and apps, which are designed to trick you into revealing personal information. Taking unwanted actions or engaging in activities that are detrimental to your privacy or well-being. And then, of course, we have data breaches. And these are incidents where sensitive and confidential information is accessed, disclosed, or lost by unauthorized individuals. So I'm sure you'll be aware that we've had some recent data breaches in the last couple of weeks, and we've also had some very big ones in the last year or so. So once scammers gain enough of your personal information, they can then pretend to be you. And when they do that, they do this to access bank accounts and to take money. They might open a bank account in your name and use it to conduct criminal activity. They might get a credit card in your name and create a large amount of debt. They could apply for a passport or make fake IDs with your name and images to conduct illegal activity. So all of this is called identity fraud. When someone has stolen your identity, they can use it to buy cars, rent a house, which all can be used for criminal activity. The impact of identity fraud can be massive. It can also negatively affect your finances, your credit rating, and cause extreme stress and anxiety. It is so important that you take steps to keep your personal information safe and protect yourself from identity theft, both on and offline. In the next section, we're going to explore this a little bit more. So in this section, we're going to focus on what information you choose to share and provide you with some key tips to help you be aware of what you are sharing. So we're going to start with another poll. I want to know, when was the last time you shared personal information in order to make a purchase or use a service? So I will bring this up now. That poll should come up. So the question is, when was the last time you shared your personal information in order to make a purchase or use a service? So A, in the last week, B, in the last few weeks, C, in the last 6 months, D, more than a year ago, or E, never. I know for myself, it was definitely the last week. It was, in fact, this morning when I wanted to track a package I had ordered online. And in order to do that, I had to put in my email address and my tracking number and the postcode of where it was going to. So that was very much this morning, just in checking the tracking of a parcel that hopefully will arrive today. So I'll give you a few more moments to vote. If you haven't already, just come forward and click. If you're in a group, maybe have a chat amongst yourselves and choose what you feel is the most common in your group. I'll give you another 20 seconds to vote if you haven't already. If you have, there's nothing you need to do, but if you haven't voted, feel free to have a vote. Okay, I'm going to share our results now. It appears many of you are very much like me and you have shared your details in the last week or the last month. Only a few of you in the last 6 months, a few less more than a year ago, and one of you has never. So that's a pretty decent effort because it's very hard to not share your personal information. I wonder if you had to share any personal information to register for today's session. I'm not quite sure of the registration process. So let's close that poll now. So just about every app, social media platform or website asks you for at least some personal information. So social media sites like Facebook are a great way to stay connected with your community, your family, and your friends. This helps you protect, and this will also, apologies, that is my parcel I just spoke about being delivered. To help protect your privacy online, we always need to think twice about disclosing personal information. So if you must share it, make sure you only share it with trusted services with knowledge and consent to do so. So, to help protect your private information on social media, you can adjust your privacy settings. Set your profile and private to private and only accept friend requests from people who you know in real life. So we also have a Be Connected web presentation called Staying Safe on Facebook. And you might be interested in joining that session in the future, and you'll learn more about Facebook privacy settings. So a really good tip is to avoid using Facebook or any other social media account to log in to other websites. So when you use your Facebook details to sign in to other websites, it allows Facebook to share your data with them too. So instead, use your email address and a password to create a new account, and don't use your Facebook or social media account to log in. Also, think carefully about adding your credit card or payment details into social media accounts. Having your credit card stored in Google or Apple Pay and paying from there is a much safer way to pay online. Oops, my slides aren't clicking very well, sorry. It's also a good idea to be mindful of what you post and what you share on social media. So, for example, always avoid sharing personal information. So these are things like your date of birth, your email address or phone number, your hometown, and this might include your home or work address, any photos that might provide personal information, such as your car number plate, your street name or address, grandchildren's schools or school uniforms, And of course, never post or share your financial details online. So when engaging with others online, be mindful to not overshare. So things like social media posts that encourage you to answer quizzes about yourself can be risky because many of the responses you post in these quizzes give answers to the secret questions that are used in password recovery systems. So questions such as, where did you go to school? Or the name of the first street that you lived on, or your mother's maiden name, or a favourite holiday location, or your pet's name. Hackers and scammers know this all too well, and they can use this information against you. So shopping online is a convenient and fun way to shop. But there are a few things you need to be mindful about to keep yourself safer online. Firstly, always limit the amount of information you share with any website or app. So if you are signing up for a loyalty program or creating an online shopping account, remember that your personal information is extremely valuable and this should be protected. Consider checking out of your online shopping as a guest or leaving data fields blank to limit the amount of personal information the site collects and stores about you. You might even consider setting up a separate email account for all of your shopping online. And when it comes to paying for the purchases, consider using Apple or Google Pay or maybe PayPal, as these are safer, more secure than storing your credit card in the store's website or app. So if you want to know more about online shopping, we have a special festive session coming up of safer online shopping on the 25th of November. So I highly recommend checking that out. So many apps on our phone ask for unnecessary permissions that are often unrelated to their functions. So, for example, the weather app does not need to access your contact list or your microphones for you to be able to check the weather. So you can always review permissions you've given to the app on your smartphone in your settings menu. So scroll down until you see the list of apps on your phone and then tap on each app to see what permissions you have given and adjust accordingly. Another tip is to consider changing the permissions in-app to whilst using the app instead of always. And this means that it will only access things like your location, camera, and microphone when that particular app is in use. So if you don't want people to know where you are, you can switch your mobile service to location services only being shared when necessary, as opposed to all the time. Also, if you are no longer using an app, it is always best practice to delete that app. Make sure you read the privacy policies before downloading any apps to your phone. And this way you'll know how and what information the app collects and also how they use your information. Again, only ever download the app from the official app stores, so the Google Play Store or the App Store for iPhones. Now we will move on to the third part of today's session, which will look at how you keep your information secure online. So we have another poll, and this one is about passwords. So I'm just going to launch that poll for you now. So I want to know, have you ever used any of the passwords on the screen? So the passwords on the screen, in case you can't see them anymore, is 12345 admin, password, unknown, or query. So have you ever used any of those passwords? 123456, admin, password, unknown, or query. So either A, never, B, once or twice, C, yes, they're easy to remember. I think I may have once or twice, but I definitely do not do that anymore. I have learned better. It would have been a good 15, 20 years ago when the internet was a very new thing. So I'll let you just finish your votes. I'll give you another 15 seconds for those who haven't voted. So for those asking how to vote, just grab your cursor, your mouse, and bring it over and click A for never, B for once or twice, or C for they're easy to remember. So thank you for all those who have voted. It's great to see so many of you have voted. Let's have a look at the results. So I'm so pleased to hear that 80% of you have never done it. 17% have once or twice, and I have to admit that was probably me, but that was a good 20 years ago when the internet was a very new thing and we weren't quite aware. Or C, a couple of you have done it, but let's hope that after today we will have some stronger passwords to support us online. So the New South Wales government has a password check that anyone can access. It takes less than a minute to identify the strength of your password. And it will also tell you if your password has been hacked. You can see the password that I tried here. It takes less than a second to crack. So it definitely needs improving. So if you ever want to check out, you can scan the QR code or you can just Google New South Wales password check and you can check your passwords. We recommend that you don't use your actual password, but use something similar, as we don't know whether there could be hackers in the background trying to access passwords. So having weak passwords is comparable to leaving your front door open when you leave home and you go out. So the latest recommendation is to actually use a passphrase. So rather than using a single password, passphrases are much more secure versions of passwords, and they're made up of 4 or more random words. And it make sure it's something that you can remember, but other people might not be able to guess. You might use song lyrics that you can remember, or you could use something like champions at protecting personal data. So we've got a few steps to creating a long passphrase. So firstly, you need to have 4 or more random words, so at least 14 characters in total. So for example, it could be gardening, rain and sunshine. It could be Willow is the best dog, or yellow, so hey plant, which you can see is the example here. Then you need to make it unpredictable by using a random mix of upper and lowercase letters, symbols and numbers. So for example, on the screen you can see yellow, so hey plant. And we've changed here the O into a star, and we changed or a number 0. Then we changed the A to the @ symbol and some capital letters and an exclamation mark. So suddenly by doing this, your password becomes so much stronger and safer. So don't forget to create unique passphrases for every different account. It can be really difficult to remember all of your passphrases, so setting up a password manager will help you do so. So password managers are like a digital vault where you can securely store all your usernames and passwords for all of your online accounts. Then you only need to remember one strong master password to access this vault and all of its stored credentials. So this will help you create and use unique, strong passwords for each account. And this will improve your online security. So you can learn all about password managers on the Be Connected website. And there is a free learning module on how to set up a password manager. So that will help you after today's session if you choose to set up a password manager. Multi-factor authentication is a security measure that requires you to provide at least two different verification factors to access your online accounts or to talk to someone from the bank about your accounts. So these factors can include something that is known, like a password, and something that you have, like a phone or an email account, or something that you are, like a fingerprint. It is always a good idea to turn on multi-factor authentication, as this will strengthens your security by adding factors to your login process. So when using multi-factor authentication, you can enter your username and password, and then it will ask for a second verification, such as your biometrics or email or an SMS verification. So let's start with the first step. So you need to log into your accounts with something you know. So this is commonly your username and your passphrase. So you'll enter your username and your passphrase. Next, what you know is combined with something you have, such as your phone or email account. You have your mobile phone, so it can be used to receive an SMS code, like you can see on the screen. Or this code could be emailed to you. Another option is combining your username and passphrase with something that you are. So this is achieved via biometrics. So biometrics are biological measures or physical characteristics that can be used to identify you as an individual. So historically, dental records were used as biometrics. And now we have new technology that uses things like facial recognition, voice recognition, retina scans, and fingerprint mapping. So most biometric systems used for authentication require the individual to actively provide their biometrics characteristics, which is then matched to existing biometric information in a database. So biometric scanning is when an organisation takes an electronic copy of your biometric information, which could include features such as your face, your fingertips, your iris, or your voice. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with unlocking your smartphones with your Face ID or your fingerprint, and that is biometrics at work. Biometrics are commonly used to authenticate your personal identity. We know that facial recognition technology is also being used at airports and smart gates to speed up the process when travelling through border security. Biometrics are also often used as an additional layer of security. So securing your devices is critical to protecting your personal and financial information from cybercriminals, and this will help ensure your privacy and safety. So here are a few tips to support you to use your devices securely. So firstly, make sure you install antivirus and spyware on your software into your devices to make sure you have good security. Ensure you regularly update the software on your device, as this will also come with new security features. And always use automatic automatic time screens to lock your devices, and ensure that you have a password protected screensaver. And finally, make sure you have turned on automatic lockout for multiple failed login attempts. This way, if someone is trying to hack into your device, after 2 or 3 correct attempts, they will have to wait a set time period before trying again. So the more incorrect attempts, the longer this time period becomes. So when you need to access important accounts to enter personal information like your address, passphrase, or bank details, always make sure you are connected to a trusted and safe internet connection, such as your home network, your work, or hotspotting from a mobile device. Free and public Wi-Fi networks do not have the same level of security, and these can easily be hacked. So free Wi-Fi in places such as airports, cafes and libraries is best suited for things like reading the news, browsing the internet, watching videos or movies, or listening to something online. It's not used for things like banking and entering private details. So when we shop online, we always need to make sure you're doing it securely. So here are some tips to help you. So firstly, use secure websites. Before you enter your personal or payment details, always check how secure the website is. Look out for a locked padlock beside a website address in the website address bar, or a URL that starts with HTTPS, because the S means the site is more secure. If a website is just HTTP, it is not as secure as when there is an S at the end. Trust marks or seals that show the site has met security and privacy requirements is also critical. Secondly, use secure payment methods. So when making online payments, only pay for items using secure payment methods like PayPal, BPay, or credit card. Using credit cards can minimize risk when shopping online because they offer extra protection, and they make it easier to get your money back if something does go wrong. And finally, use trusted sellers. So research online shopping websites before you buy from them, and stick to well-known, trusted retailers. It will also help to search for reviews from other customers. So we're now going to move into the final section of today's presentation, which focuses on scams and data breaches. So we're going to start with another poll. And I want to know how you would rate your ability to detect a scam text message. So it might be A, I have no idea. B, I might be able to identify a few. I could pick up maybe 50% of them for C. Or D, you recognise most scams. Or E, you're confident to identify all scams. So I'm going to launch that poll for us right now. There you go. To vote, all you need to do is bring your mouse over and click where you think you would be. So data from ScamWatch tells us that in 2024, email scams were the most reported scam. There were also 9,819 reports about scams from emails. And so this has been a change from 2024, where we are now seeing that text messages is the most reported contact method for scammers. So it's great to see that so many of you have already voted. If you haven't, I'll give you another 20 seconds to come over and vote. If you have, just leave it, that's fine. So how would you rate your ability to detect a scam? A, I have no idea. B, I might be able to identify a few. C, I could pick up on 50% of them. D, I could recognize most scams. Or E, I'm confident to identify all scams. I would probably put myself in D. I reckon I could recognize most of them. But every now and then I do second guess. I'm like, ooh, not quite sure if that's a scam or not. So let's share the results. It seems like a lot of you feel confident that you could pick up most of them. Hopefully after today, you'll be able to pick up a few more. And we also have a scam webinar that will help you detect more. So in Australia, we are able to access some great statistics regarding scams. And some of the key findings include that there were 249,448 scams were reported to ScamWatch. Australia lost 318 million to scams in 2024. The biggest losses were through investment scams, with over 193 million lost. Australians aged over 55 lost over $1.5 million. The statistics show that older age groups are consistently losing more money than younger Australians. So according to ScamWatch reports, the top 3 scams by loss are investment scams, which had a loss of 192 million, romance scams, which had 23 million, and phishing, which was 20 million. It's a lot of money lost. Impersonation scams are where scammers impersonate trusted businesses, friends, or family to steal your money or personal information. It's important that if it is out of the ordinary, or that you don't assume that the person you are dealing with is the person that they say you are. Scammers may get in touch with you through text messages. So you might have heard about the Hi Mum scams. And this involves scammers sending text messages saying something like, "Hi Mum, it's me. I've lost my phone and I need you to send me money urgently. My bank is blocked." Or wrong number scams. So these scammers try to create a sense of urgency and encourage you to respond ASAP by sending money. There are also email scams, and it could include receiving a fake invoice via email that needs to be paid urgently. Or social media, and romance scams are the most common on social media. And in 2024, ScamWatch received 3,204 reports of dating and romance scams. with total losses for people aged 55 and over was $21 million. Facebook was most common social media platform for romance scams. And like I said, we have a great webinar on staying safe on Facebook and it will run in the first half of next year. So keep an eye out for that. And that will talk about ways you can use Facebook safely to ensure that you do not run into scammers or romance scams. So some of the most common impersonation scams include banking and toll road scams, unsuccessful delivery attempts, tech support and account suspension, fake investment and website scams, and scams that intimidate fines or court proceedings. And as I said, there's so much information on the Be Connected website about impersonation scams, so I encourage you to check it out. We've also put together some tips to support you to protect yourself against impersonation scams. So firstly, don't click on links that appear in unexpected emails or text messages. Be aware of scammer scares and urgency tactics. Never log into your account via a link from an email or text. Always go to the official website and log in from there. Hang up on unsolicited calls, especially if they want to download an app or install software on your device. If you're ever unsure, make sure you speak to a trusted friend or family member. Contact organisations via the phone number listed on their website. And if you ever receive a text from a friend or family member seeking urgent money, contact them on another platform. So try calling them or their partner, or maybe you message via Facebook or you message in a different platform than what you have previously been messaging on. So the Be Connected website has a free impersonation scams guide. And I recommend that you go online and you order yourself a copy after today's session. There is so much involved with scams that we have not one, but two Be Connected webinars on scams. So the first is Can You Spot a Scam? which was delivered just last week, and it will be run again in the first half of next year. And secondly, we have Protect Yourself Against Scams, and this is going to be run on the 13th of November. So a data breach happens when personal information is accessed and disclosed without authorization, or it is lost. So, for example, when a device with a customer's personal information is lost or stolen, or maybe a database that contains personal information is hacked, or personal information is mistakenly given to the wrong person. So hackers will use a number of methods to find out vulnerabilities in an organization's system. So being a victim of a data breach does not necessarily mean that that data will be used in harmful ways. However, some people may not be so lucky. So there are a couple of ways to check if your data has been hacked. So firstly, the Australian Cyber Security Centre has an online quiz that you can take called Have You Been Hacked? Secondly, you can check if your email account or mobile phone has been breached by accessing Have I Been Prawned? And you can also check how many times your passwords have been involved in a data breach by accessing prawned passwords. Again, we always recommend that you don't use your actual password, but you use a similar one. So organisations must comply with the Australian Privacy Act, and they must advise you if a data breach involving your personal information has occurred. It has occurred, and it is likely to cause some serious harm to you. So if you're told about a data breach, you should act quickly and reduce your risk of harm. So keep a record of what you do, as this may be useful if you are experiencing harm. Take the recommended actions from the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner and ID Care. So ID Care is a free support service that provides advice when it comes to things like identity theft, hacking, scams, and loss or stolen credentials. The action you need to take will depend on the information involved in the breach. Remember to always stay extra vigilant against potential scams. Importantly, remember to take care of yourself, and if you are distressed, contact your doctor or support service, or speak to family and friends to support you. So if you experience identity fraud, or you suspect your identity has been stolen, we recommend you take the following steps. So firstly, you can log a report to reportcyber.gov.au. You can contact the police on 13 14 44 and ask for a police report or reference number as evidence that you made a report. Contacting the relevant agency or organisation that is linked to your identity fraud. Call your financial institution as soon as possible. Make a report to ScamWatch if it was part of a scam. You can also get advice from ID Care by visiting www.idcare.org. So if you enjoyed today's session, you can continue your learning on the Be Connected website. Our advanced online security learning modules covers protecting your privacy online, managing passwords, and using antivirus software. And so this is bringing us to the end of our presentation today. If you or someone you know would like to build their digital skills and confidence online, visit the Be Connected website. As I said, you'll find hundreds of learning resources, free courses, step-by-step videos, articles and podcasts on technology and the internet, with plenty of tips for how to stay safe online. I most definitely have learned a lot from the Be Connect website. You can also sign up to Be Connected newsletters to stay up to date with new releases. You can download today's summary sheet. It's available in the handout tab of our GoToWebinar, which is next to the question box. Or you can go to the Be Connected website, where you'll find it in 9 different languages. We would love to see you in our next Be Connected session, which is on managing emails safely. And I think you might be with me again for that session. It'll be a great session, so make sure you register on the Be Connected website, and I look forward to seeing you then. We also have some other scams and festive shopping coming up in November, which I spoke about, so feel free to register for those as well. And as we wrap up, we have one final poll for you today. We want to know how many joined you. I'll launch our poll. So were you joining by yourself? Were there 2 of you? Maybe 3, 4? or more than 5. If there are more than 5 and you haven't already told us in the question box, please feel free to let us know in the question box so we actually know. I know there were some big groups joining us today. So I'll give you a moment to finish voting. Thank you so much for attending today. It is always fantastic to have you join us. I will turn my camera back on to say goodbye and say thank you. So I'd also like to thank Lisa in the background for her support, and thank the libraries for organising the groups to come together. It is always fantastic to have multiple libraries joining our sessions and to have so many people coming. Thank you so much for joining us. I will look forward to seeing you at our next session. If you haven't already voted in our poll, it would be great if you could please do so before you leave, and then I'll let you get back on with your day. Thank you so much for joining us. It's my absolute pleasure, and I will look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.